Mind is spacious and cognizant, and therefore there will be always perceptions, thoughts, and feelings. So we don't need to suppress them violently, or we don't need to follow them endlessly. At this point, we simply notice resting and receiving until the moment where the thought arises or not, they're not creating any disturbance. The mind remains spacious and attentive, free and clear, comfortable. But there are a lot of movements, thoughts, and sense perceptions or not. At this point, realize that we are not distracted by mind's activity or attached to mind's stability. We just let this mind be. Now and then, when we notice that we've been drifting away, we can come back to the breath, only if needed, to find this balance again of awareness where we abide. Feel free to move, stretch a bit if you need. So I'm back into my Bible, The Path to Awakening. And I'd like to talk about some advices that are given. The advices that are given, they're given to help us to keep the commitments. So the sixth chapter is regarding the commitments. That means on the way to Bodhi, on the Bodhi path, what needs to be done. And the following chapter is helping us to understand how we can do that and then stay focused somehow. And somewhat the sixth chapter ends on a sort of an essential position, which is humility. And then a slogan that says, be like a humble servant before all. And so humility here is not like sort of a, you're belittling yourself or making yourself smaller or insignificant, but you really realize that there's really no reason to maintain this habit of promoting the sense of a self. For we, through our practice, come to realize that there's not such a thing existing as an entity being the self, but there's a dynamic that sort of connects myself to yourselves. And that could be an enlightening dynamic, or that could be source of a lot of misery and suffering. So we're sort of humbled by the power of the mind, and we're humbled by the lack of identity in the self, for lack of a better word, the identitylessness of the self. And so we don't need to sort of nourish this habit, which is only being detrimental and being the source of a lot of suffering. So we really want to deepen our wisdom, broaden our wisdom, and at the same time being of help. That's basically the idea we have on the path to awakening. We want to, this mind is seeking for a way that makes sense, this is the way in Zen that they describe bodhicitta, the way-seeking mind, the mind that is looking for a sense, a direction, and so on. And so we begin to understand that we have to take a position that's much more humble and less aggressive, for there is no reason to maintain this habit of aggression and sort of a predominance of the self, but begin to nourish and cultivate new habits of an harmonious exchange between oneself and others, which doesn't have to be a war. It can be sort of a friendly exchange that would enrich everybody. So that's what we try to do. So we cultivate this more humble position in that way. We try to find a way that helps everybody. That means ourselves and others. And so that's the starting point. And so we realize then that the most important is to keep this awareness. The most important is to keep this intention, the way-seeking mind, the bodhicitta, that we try to cultivate it, not only when we sit on a cushion as a sort of a sacred moment where we decide to be our best, close to enlightenment person, but as a general way of being, so that the path really encompasses an entire life, not just 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening where we sit trying to do something. Okay. And so how do we keep this attention and mindfulness in the sense of memory or remembrance of what we would like to cultivate and what's under attention. And for that, we have to use some tricks or mnemotechniques that will help us to remember sort of a ritual, you could almost say, a routine that you sort of cultivate. And one slogan is inviting us to do that here in the set of advice that we receive. 2 actions to perform. Like what do you have to do every day? 2 actions, okay? One at the beginning, one at the end. Sounds like what's on my medicine box, like take 1 pill in the morning and 1 pill after dinner before going to bed, right? And so the first thing is when you wake up in the morning, I mean, of course, you can have elaborate rituals and you can have meditation, everything. I'm not going to say this is not necessary, but the most important, what would drive the practice is when you wake up is the idea that today I will seriously practice mind training without missing a step. That's an intention. It doesn't mean you're going to do it. It means you intend to do it. Okay. If you don't intend to do it, then not only you're going to miss it, but you're going to miss it altogether. Now and there, of course, that we are caught off guard, and we haven't cultivated sufficiently mindfulness or attentiveness, and so of course we lose it. But at least we wake up in the morning. You just like wake up, open your eyes, and say, today is mind training day. Okay. And then you can take, if you think that this is too much and then you can't keep this awareness for the entire day, then you can take shorter deals. Okay. From today, that is now, until I had my coffee, which is the most challenging part of the day for me, I will practice mindfulness. I will practice mind training. Okay. From breakfast till lunch, from lunch till tea time, and from tea time to supper, and then until I go to bed. So you can sort of like break up your day. I mean, if you're sort of like a rational person, you can say every hour, I will renew my commitment. So this kind of habit, that's a really good thing to keep in mind. It's not like a heavy, you don't have to recite text and sutras and do anything special. It's just a reminder, like, yeah, that's what I want to do. I really want to stick to this path for all the reasons that led me to this decision, and I'm going to do it. And what is interesting is that each moment of renewal of the commitment or the intention, you also have an opportunity to have a quick debriefing of what happened between the moment where you decided to implement this to this moment. You can sort of like briefly go through the hour, let's say, or the half of the day, or whatever is your schedule, and say, oh yeah, there was a couple of points where I was caught off guard, where I sort of like nourished the old habit of like doing it for me and then get some benefit out of this and so on. Okay, I'm aware of it. Now, that's a new commitment. I'm going to try to work so that I don't fall in the same traps that I did before. Maybe I will discover new ones, that's for sure. But, so like you're, in a way, these commitments are protecting you, because it's very easy to drift endlessly if you don't have this moment where you come back, where it's kind of like, you put it like this, maybe it's kind of like a business lingo, but briefing and debriefing. You get a brief at the beginning of the day, I'm going to cultivate mind training, and then half day, an hour, 2 hours, whatever, debriefing, and then you brief again, and then you keep doing that until it becomes really a habit, so that actually it's deeply ingrained. The idea is to really turn it into a habit so that you don't have to think so much about it. It becomes part of you. Because what allows us to progress along the path to enlightenment and be of help to everybody is the momentum of positive energy that we cultivate through the practice of the 6 transcendent qualities of generosity and ethic and patience and perseverance and mental stability and wisdom, right? What is called in Tibetan sunam, loosely translated as merit, driving force, the energy. That is what is your path. You know, that's what allows you to move forward and actually implement and actualize what you intended to. So, and this entirely depends on the intention. So when the intention is very stable, up to the point where whether you're aware or not, whether you're asleep or you're awake, that this intention is the driving force, that only good things come from that. Only positive things come from that, even in your dreams. You know, at the moment where you have very little control over what your mind does, it's run by a subconscious and old habit, right? Even in these moments, and that was one of the signs of progress, you surprise yourself to be actually answering in this way or reacting in this way. You're actually implementing the intent, even in a moment where you didn't really have a lot of control about what was going on. And so that's important because the intent creates the flow of actions that generate the merit that will implement the intent. And so that's the driving force. So it's very, very important advice, this. It seems, you know, 2 things to practice, 1 in the morning as you wake up and 1 before you go to bed. Simple, but actually it is so crucial, so essential. So when you come at the end of the day, then it's like the big debriefing of the day. You see what, you know, went according to plan and what didn't. And then maybe it's a time where you can just like, you know, Tibetan culture would say that's a time where you can recite 21 mantra of Vajrasattva, 100 syllables, just like a spiritual shower. But the most important is to become aware of where we missed the step. And so that means to lay open, lay bare, and not hide or pretend that I did that because somebody else, my monkey, make me do it, you know? So lay open, lay bare, become aware, and then have a sincere regret for the fact, like, yes, I missed an important opportunity. You know, that's kind of, you know, I'm sorry for that. And then very likely I hurt somebody, so I'm even more sorry. I'm sorry for that. And then have a moment where you readjust, where you take the commitment. So that means that you repair in your mind the lack of awareness or the lack of attentiveness that you had at a certain point in your day. And you repair it by making a strong commitment that you're going to be more aware. You're going to cultivate even more mindfulness and attentiveness and carefulness, to be more conscientious. Conscientiousness is a very important, though very difficult to pronounce word. So this is the piece of advice, and that will help us to, that's the second advice, be patient with whichever of the 2 arises. When we go through life, 2 types of things arise, the one we like and the one we don't like. The one that brings joy and the one that brings like pain and suffering or anger or any sort of reactions. And so when you have cultivated the intent, you understand that even the moment of failure becomes an opportunity to learn if we have this moment in the day where we renew our intent or we renew our commitment. And so if things come to us that we don't like and react kind of abruptly or habitually, we have a chance to see that and we have a chance to correct it. And we have a chance to begin to understand that these are not just negative circumstances or unpleasant circumstances. They're also opportunities. They are putting us to the test. They're giving us an opportunity to apply the different skills that we have cultivated in order to fulfill the intent that we have. So that makes you sort of like a little bit more confident with life, and you're not sort of hoping for the good and fearing the worst, you know, because both are opportunity. Sometimes the good is sort of like numbing us, you know, we're sort of drunk with happiness and pleasure and ease and so on. We may become very arrogant thinking that because we are smart that this happened, you know. It's just the merit, the flow of merit of previous smart actions that brings these now comfortable circumstances. Even if you are a little monster, you know, you can still have good moments. And it doesn't have to do with the smartness of now, but more like you're using your sort of like tapping in your reserve, you know, in your saving account. So there's no reason to be sort of arrogant and, you know, feeling superior because, you know, I went through the problems that and nobody else could do it. But rather see it as an opportunity to be more sort of generous and sharing, and seeing that other people may not have the awareness of how to create merit and the awareness of how to avoid creating suffering. And how can I help them to gain this awareness? How can I share my comfort, my liberty, my ease to be of help, to alleviate the suffering of other beings, and also, if possibly, to help them understand? So both becomes an opportunity, and as they are seen as an opportunity rather than one to be cast away and one to be grasped, you know, um, they can be welcomed with a sort of a very even mind. Like you're not taken away by, you know, excessive excitement about happiness or comfort and depression about hard times. You know, you just cultivate an even mood, which is another side of aspect of spiritual maturity. Deal with everything with a very even mind, knowing that there are opportunities to help and be generous if you can, opportunity to work on some flaws and difficulties, pay back old uh, uh, mishaps of the past in this present moment. So it's all good. It's all a learning platform. So this was the two advice I think that are connected uh, that I wanted to discuss today. So now that I've done that, I think it's time for us to go back to our meditation. Through this merit, may I attain true omniscience. Then, having overcome all harmful, destructive forces, may I liberate sentient beings from the ocean of existence and its turbulent waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. May the most precious mind of awakening that has not yet dawned now rise. Once arisen, may it never decline, may it continue to increase evermore. Thank you all very much. Thank you guys over the rainbow. If you want, see you next Sunday, same time, same channel. Be well, take care.